last week?
You know what, to be honest with you, I haven't seen him. Today will be the first time I've seen him. So yesterday, Sunday was a day off. Monday was just individuals and left and school. No, actually, there was no school yesterday. But so today will be the first day that I see him. So,
Mike, now that you've had some time to kind of look at the film and evaluate things, what stood out to you about Dom and him getting the start? I mean, was there something you noticed that was different? Was it the same? I mean, how would you assess it?
he's been shooting the ball at a high level, and he's been really good in terms of communication on the defensive end. And so, you know, Dom's one of those guys that when he's making shots, he's a difference maker. And sometimes you need a kick scoring off the bench where you have a legit score. But, you know, anything can happen. You know, I think the biggest thing is we were just looking for answers. That's why we went to a movie and didn't practice. There's a lot of different variables.
So that being said, I mean, is it one of those things where we're going to continue to see Dom in the starting lineup, or has that been determined?
It hasn't been determined. We'll see how practice goes these next couple of days, and we'll make that decision in terms of where we think we are.
Is your finishing five more important than your starting five?
Oh, it's always, you know, you're just in there trying to find the right combination. It's been like that all year. Different guys have stepped up and have had big games. It's, I think the unpredictability sometimes, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for some guys thinking that I'm playing 20 minutes a game, and then next thing you know, I'm playing 3 minutes a game. Jameer's had some, you know, minute changes, but you know, I watch practice. I see who's confident, see who's not, see who's, you know, like you see energy levels. You know, it's one of those things where it's, you know, it's constantly evolving.
How important is for them, or say when they do buy into that, the kids, you know what I mean, in any team, when they say it doesn't really matter, finishing the five is what's critical because it's the W's for all of us, not the one person.
Yeah, and that's, you know, but everybody, you know, there's a lot of teams when you have 4 or 5 guys that think they're the ones that can make those plays at the end. And, you know, it's every game, you know, like some days they double team Noah, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they, you know, put a bigger guy on Jalen, sometimes they don't. You know, you got to look at the matches of the games, and, you know, it's like I said, at the end of a game it might be completely different based on how they're defending. You know, Noah should buy Dominic a Rolex watch. You know, like offensive linemen have given, you know, the quarterback is bought for the offensive lineman. Just because he spaces the floor for a lot of guys, and he gives, you know, openings and spaces, and that's what you want, especially when you're a big guy. And then when they double, then you can make them pay. And so that will be determined based on how the game's going, what position are we in, and that's really what it determines. So yes, the guys who are in the game at the end do determine, but it's really how the game is going. It's not already kind of set. Does that make sense?
So Jalen's reaction to not starting?
You know, it's, you know, everybody wants to start, but he's a team guy and he wants to win. So at the end of the day, he's going to do what's best for the team.
When you look at just kind of how he played coming off the bench, A, what was your thoughts, and B, just how would you explain the dynamic of having someone like him come in off the bench? Because I know you say, hey, you want instant offense, but it seems like with Dom on one hand, you get a guy who can spread the floor and shoot, whereas with Jalen, a guy who can attack from all areas. So, I mean, is it that black and white, or is it something so different that?
I think it's black and white. I like, you know, sometimes, you know, based on how they're defending, I like Jalen with the ball. Jalen played a lot of backup point in that game too. You know, that was something that you know, when David came out, I put him in there. You know, based on if teams are pressuring, you know, everything's different, you know. But, you know, different lineups during this time, I think we have to figure out ways where we can evolve as we move forward, especially in this league. You know, when you're playing teams that you've been playing twice, it changes a little bit.
There was a play in the second half. Sam got pissed and dumped it.
Yeah.
How do you get that to Sam more?
Got to get him pissed more. You know, Sammy, it's a confidence thing. You know, he was getting a lot more touches earlier in the year. You know, it's, you know, sometimes you got to touch it a little bit more. Sometimes John Chaney used to say the best pass you're going to get, he used to tell his big guys, the best pass you're going to get comes off the rim. You know, go get it. But you know, Sam's a really good passer. You know, you could see us trying to get him the ball more where he's a really good passer out there, and it just gives him more confidence. What you can't do is Sam can really change the game on the defensive end too, and he can't allow that to affect that end of the floor, because when he gets it deep, he doesn't put it on the floor. He pivots strong. He's You know, it gives us a different dynamic. I mean, the play that he made, it was so physical. And that's the thing, I think, the difference in that game was you saw the activity, you saw the multiple efforts, and you saw like they felt us. You felt the length, you felt the flying all over the place, you felt our interior, and I think that's, as we move forward, it was the defense that got us going more than anything.
Kind of a bigger question about freshmen as a whole. I mean, right now in high school season, people are going into state tournaments or at least late playoff runs. I mean, is this around the time of year when you start to notice a freshman wall with kids you've had historically, or is the freshman wall something that's kind of fictitious, or how would you describe it?
I don't know. There's, some guys, they'll talk about the sophomore slump or I don't believe in that stuff. I think, certain players, we had Carmelo Anthony and Jerry McNamara, and they had unbelievable freshman years. I don't know. Jalen's an elite, not only athlete, but talent. He's 18, 19 going on 45. Like he's like an old school vet. He reminds me of that guy who, he comes in with flip-flops and he takes his flip-flops out, puts his shoes on and goes and gets 50. Like he's just got that. He's got that mindset, and we're asking him to do a lot. And the thing that, if you look at like what's happening to Trae Young, like defenses change, and differences take certain things away, and that's why it's everybody. The importance of 1 through 5. It's 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, 10. You got guys. We've had guys come off the bench and win. You watch the old Bulls. Obviously everybody goes to Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen, but how many times did Steve Kerr make the winning shot, or Robert Horry for the, it's a different guy, and so game has changed. They're trying to shut down Jalen. Well, now Jalen has the trust of passing it out, and Matisse has 25 or 26 points, and that's what great teams do. And so, slump, wall. I think the game is just constantly evolving and changing.
Kind of keep along this line.
Yep.
So when you think about when you have those rotations where the 4 freshmen and insert upperclassmen is in there.
Yep.
I mean, how different do you feel with that group now compared to the beginning of the year when they're still learning everything?
Well, it goes back to they're not freshmen anymore, and they've got to be able to be. I'm watching activity. I'm watching energy. I'm watching execution, and the only way you can get better at it is being on the court, and they've got to impact the game because the best players play, and it's just best combination of players, I should say. And so, Hamir, when we had played Stanford before, had 4 or 5 blocks. He was active, and then some days you look and you're like, are you here? We're here to here. We're playing right now. There's a game. You've got to do that. And so that's always the progression, and that's why Dom, Carlos, you've got so many guys that can be inserted that can impact in a different way.
Speaking of the here and now, just from a grander scale, looking at the way college basketball is, and with the whole looming FBI program and all that, but the way and what you've done here in Washington to turn around this program and basically double the wins from what it was last year. You ever take a moment to just kind of reflect and look at where your program is compared to where everything else is, and almost thankful and kind of
You know what? I'm obviously thankful, grateful. I think a big thing for me is I'm always trying to figure out. It's like these are our systems: recruiting, offense, defense. How can we become better? How do we evolve? Do I look back and I'm not satisfied until we're undefeated? I mean, that's just like the life of a coach. You're trying to. How can we be better? How can we improve? How can we win the next game? To be honest with you. I think, maybe, April 5th, I'll be able to sit back and reflect a little bit. Right now, you just focus on how can we get better? How can we beat Stanford? What did we learn from the last game? How can we move forward? How can we be a little bit more unpredictable? What player maybe on these matchups can help us? And, I think that's how I think. So, I hope I answered your question, but.
That said, how do you beat Stanford this second time?
Well, it was 48-28 in rebounding in the first game. They had 14 offensive rebounds. You got to be able to rebound the ball. Coach Haas comes from played for Coach Williams at Kansas, and that's the Carolina way, the system. And they're built on big guys that they crash the glass and they kick your butt in transition. So those are 2 things that we're going to have to do, or they hurt us. And but I think there was some really good opportunities. We didn't have our best offensive best offense tonight. I think it will help us that we played them in the first time in terms of how they attacked it. They were one of the first teams that didn't have 4 shooters on the court at once, and they really attacked on the inside. So, we're a different team. They're a different team. Should be a great contest. I think they have one of the most, if you look in terms of a talent perspective, they have one of the top 3 talented teams in the league. And, he's done a heck of a job. I mean, they were a team that they played a really tough schedule, and they were playing without Dorian Pickens, who was, one of their veteran players, best shooter on the team, and Okpala wasn't playing earlier, and he's one of the most talented freshmen in our league. So this is a team that, was playing a little handicapped, not having 2 of their top players right now, and so they've got good chemistry. They've got good momentum. You saw what they did to Oregon at home was one of the probably most impressive wins of the season of any team in our league. So, it's going to be a heck of a contest for us. And, it's, cream rises. So let's see what we can do.
Couple more guys.
Coach, I don't know if you've addressed this morning. It got up Louisville had to vacate a title and indictments coming down.
They had to vacate the title?
Yeah, 20 years.
Did they really?
Yeah. How scary is it out there?
It's scary. I mean, for a lot of these programs, but there's 3 things that always come out: the moon, the sun, and the truth. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's it's unfortunate. You don't wish it on anybody, but those types of things come out. But I think that you'll see a big transition or a shift in terms of college basketball within the year with all the federal indictments and stuff like that. A lot of it is speculation that you see. None of the stuff has really come out other than what we know. Everybody's saying, well, there's going to be more, there's going to be more, there's going to be more. But, we'll just wait and see if that stuff comes out. And, hopefully it's not as bad as they say. But if it is, then I'm sure the right laws or what you want in terms of federal and NCAA will give them the right punishments.
What impact did Isaiah Thomas have on the players this past weekend?
Well, we didn't get a lot of time with him. I wish we had, I wish he was able to give us a talk and all that stuff, motivational. But I think the cool thing, and I wish I would have seen the ceremony. Unfortunately, we're at halftime trying to, get the ship right. But, listen, anytime you get a guy like Isaiah and you get that crowd and you can feel the energy. You can walk in there and it's kind of like, it kind of pierces you. I had a friend who had watched on television. They said you can feel it through the place. Then you've got, some of our ex-greats walking through the building. It's pretty special. I know that they saw him in layup lines, and, you see Marquise Chris and Quincy and John Brock. There's so many great players, and Markel. That's what you're playing for. And so, I think to make those fans proud, those ex-players proud, don't want to disappoint them. And our guys really played with their hearts out. And I got to give our guys a lot of credit. They did. There was a lot of fight, a lot of activity, a lot of togetherness, and that's what we love to see.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.